Live from the beating heart of Africa to every corner of the world, this is Noble Black News, where bold stories rise, fearless voices speak, and the truth cannot be silenced. Stay informed. Stay empowered. The world is watching. Noble Black News begins now.
In the midterm elections. I'll tell you, when we were in the majority, we didn't strip health care from Americans. We provided health care with the Affordable Care Act. And the mastermind of that is someone I'd like to introduce next, the most effective speaker in the history of the United States, Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you very much, Zoe. I think it's very clear from listening to our presenters so far that the Republicans are acting because they have bankruptcy of ideas. They have no winning ideas to present to the American people, and they cannot defend their actions legitimately. So they're trying to do it and rig it illegitimately. I want to thank our governor for his leadership, his persistence in protecting and defending our Constitution and our democracy. Thank you, Governor Newsom. It's an honor to be here with the Speaker of the Assembly and the President Pro Tem of the Senate of our legislature and hear their clear message about what this means to California, but more importantly, to our country. And I join them in welcoming the courageous members of the Texas delegation who are here. We thank you not only for your courage, but for your patriotism. I've said to you before, at the beginning of our country, Thomas Paine said, the times have found us. Times found them to form a new country, to write a constitution, and the rest, thank God they made it amendable. And now the times found Lincoln, then found Lincoln to save that country, the unity of that country. And now the times have found all of us, and especially our Texas delegation, to save our Constitution. I'm from Maryland originally, and I'm very proud that the national anthem was written there. And my favorite line in the anthem is, proof through the night that our flag was still there. We have a responsibility to prove through the night of this Trump administration, the darkness of it all, that our flag is still there with liberty and justice for all. And that is what I'm so proud of the leadership of all of our California delegation in Congress, but also our state legislature as well. Zoe Lofgren has led the way as the leader of our House Democrats from California in the unity that she mentioned about our delegation. And this is something that we're unified on to honor our oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. The President has paved over the Rose Garden. He's paved over freedom of speech. He's paved over freedom of education. The list goes on and on. Independent judiciary, rule of law, pave it over. But we will not he's gone too far, and we will not let him pave over free and fair elections in our country, starting with what he's trying to do in Texas, countering that. So this isn't two wrongs, or as was mentioned, it's not a wrong in what we're doing. This is self-defense for our democracy. They have hit out at our democracy, and we are here to defend it. I thank again our Texans for their leadership, for their courage, most of all for their patriotism. And now I'm very pleased to yield to our distinguished leader in all of this effort, someone who was right out there right from the start, who brings us together, making us so very proud, our Governor Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Let me thank everybody for taking the time to be here, and let me welcome all of you to Governor Ronald Reagan's home. Reminded of Governor Reagan's last speech in the Oval Office, where he talked about the life force of new Americans. He talked about Lady Liberty's torch. And here we are, fast forward decades later, appropriately with a portrait of Ronald Reagan looking down on the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, who's trying to light a torch on democracy. He's trying to roll back the last half century. He wants to put America in reverse on LGBT rights, on voting rights, civil rights, on the rights of women and girls. We're here in that light at this profound and consequential moment. And we're here with 6 courageous leaders that they've been described from the Texas delegation. It is my privilege to have had now 2 delegations visit from Texas. And it's my honor to welcome all of you and to thank you for your courage. Thank you for faith and devotion to the cause that unites all of us across this country, regardless of party. And that are the enduring principles of our founding fathers. You know, we talked about the 249th anniversary of those principles. Next year we'll celebrate the 250th anniversary of those enduring principles, the best of the Roman Republic and Greek democracy, a system of co-equal branches of government. This notion of a system of checks and balances, popular sovereignty, all of that on the line, all of that at risk. And so I'm very sober and mindful of this moment. And as a consequence, we have taken our relationship to this moment very, very seriously. Had it not been for the courage of the Democratic representatives from Texas to stand tall and to stand up, to walk out, as is their right, as old a principle as American pie, the ability for a minority to walk out when it comes to the abuses of a majority. And they did just that, to elevate not just their voices as representatives, but to elevate our voices, to call out the consequential nature of what's happening. What's happening in the United States of America is not normal. We cannot allow this to be considered normal. Please don't say it's surprising. When you say something is no longer surprising, you normalize it. This is shocking, what's happened. You heard Representative Johnson say it very powerfully and very clearly. And what more evidence did you need? You saw this take shape after Donald Trump tried to wreck the democracy after January 6th, where he dialed for 12,000 votes in Georgia. By your courageous leadership, regardless of party, that stood up against that tyranny. Now he's dialing up for seats. He called Greg Abbott, who doesn't have the courage, doesn't have the backbone, doesn't have the consciousness of the consequences of his action. And he has rolled over and he said, yes, sir, and they're trying to dial now for new seats for precisely the reason that Speaker Pelosi and others have represented. They will lose in the midterms. He knows it. Why else would he make that phone call? His agenda is failing. This presidency is failing. He knows the headwinds in a midterm. He's dialing for seats. Not only did he dial for 5 seats in Texas, he just sent his vice president, the vice president of the United States, not to console those 137 families whose lives were torn asunder because they lost loved ones to the floods. By the way, 3 members of my community in Marin County, Mark and Sarah and Johnny Walker, 14 years old, died in the flood. Mark, 50 years old. Sarah, same age. Family, friends. We were at their memorial yesterday. Vice President come to console the family members of the lives lost. He went to Indiana to continue to try to rig the election. You have a special election in Texas. You'd think that's all they'd be focused on. 37 kids dying in those floods. But they're focused on this, a power grab. And it's not limited to Texas and Indiana. You've seen what's happening in Florida. You've seen what's happening in Ohio and other states. So we have got to step up. Our state of mind is about accountability, responsibility. Again, taking this moment seriously. What is our relationship to this moment? And we recognize we have agency. We're not bystanders. That we can shape the future. Decisions, not conditions. And so we choose to be held to a higher level of accountability. It wasn't our decision to be here. It's reaction to. We are trying to defend democracy as opposed to see it destroyed district by district. And we will stand firm and we will stand tall. And perhaps the expression today is the expression of unity. That's what we're trying to communicate. You have congressional representatives here, the leader of our congressional delegation. They are unanimous in their support of moving in this direction. You have the Speaker and the Pro Tem, and they strong support of their caucuses. And leaders of critical committees and caucus are here to express support. We are moving forward. Make no mistake. California is moving forward as a state that's larger than 21 state populations combined. We are not a small, isolated state. State larger than 21 populations combined. We tried to play by a higher set of standards and rules with our independent redistricting, and we believe in that. And we are not talking about eliminating that commission. We are talking about emergency measures to respond to what's happening in Texas, and we will nullify what happens in Texas. We will pick up 5 seats with the consent of the people, and that's the difference between the approach we're taking and the approach they're taking. We're doing it on a temporary basis. We're doing it in a fully transparent way, and we're doing it by asking the people of the state of California for their consent and support. Mark that stark contrast to what's happening in Texas and other states. We are resolved and we are aligned in this strategy. And I'm deeply, in closing, grateful for the leadership that's assembled here today. In unprecedented time, we required an unprecedented approach, an unprecedented leadership to build the kind of consensus that we believe we have. We have till August 22nd. With the leadership behind me, they will get this on the ballot. We're calling for a special election. That'll be the first week of November. It will coincide with many other municipal elections. We will raise an unprecedented amount of attention, and we will garner an unprecedented amount of support because people understand what's at stake. Final words. Because I want to reinforce what the Speaker and the Pro Tem said. You have people disappearing in the state of California, quite literally disappearing. Warrantless search, people literally being taken from the streets. I don't think this, I know it. 16-year-old kid whose mom and dad working 20 years at the same packing facility, 16-year-old didn't even know how to get back into his own home because mom and dad disappeared going to work. Young child had no brothers and sisters. That's Trump's America. That's happening as we speak. The Guard has been federalized. And by the way, Donald Trump is continuing to federalize the National Guard through the election. Pause and consider what that may mean. There is nothing normal about this. Nothing normal about this. Conditioning aid, let me make this clear in front of the Texas delegation. I am proud, and thank you to Isaac Bryan, $83.1 billion more we provided the federal government in federal taxes than we received. Texas, for whatever reason, for its success and how Texas does punch above its weight, received $71.1 billion more from the federal government than we received. But I'll tell you what, as a taxpayer, as governor of California, I am proud to stand tall to help them recover from these floods. No conditions, no politics. We're all in this together. I was proud to send search and rescue teams to support the recovery of those floods. That's my responsibility. That's what it's like to be a member of a community. We're all in this together. The idea that we're even conditioning aid and allowing that conversation to persist, that's what's at stake with this conversation. It's not about lines, it's about drawing a line, and it's all about elevating a deeper consciousness of the line that Donald Trump continues to cross. It's not about him playing by a different set of rules. There are no rules for Donald Trump. This is a serious moment in American history. And so we are here to meet this moment head on. And we look forward to a successful campaign, and we look forward to continuing to do what we can to have the backs of these courageous leaders who are back here in the state of California, sharing their voice as we share their action and passion at peril that this democracy may not live. With that, we're here to answer any questions.
Not wanting to feel like to settle with the Trump administration, are you taking any actions to fight?
Yeah, we'll sue. I mean, this is a separate topic, but it's not necessarily disconnected from this topic. Donald Trump today is trying to silence academic freedom. He's attacking one of the most important public institutions in the United States of America, one of the finest institutions of higher learning in the world, one of the great research institutions in this country, one of the reasons California is the tentpole of the U.S. economy, one of the reasons we have more scientists, engineers, more Nobel laureates than any other state in this nation. He has threatened us through extortion with a $1 billion fine unless we do his bidding. So as long as I'm governor, I will stand tall and push back against that. And I believe every member of California legislature feels the same way. We will not be complicit in this kind of attack.